So Grass Valley is just a mining town. It's just so fascinating that like all these people came at once and set up shop. So this, I think, okay, is a miner's cottage, right, from, the 1800s. So this thing was a schoolhouse from 1881 to like 1905. And so there was like one level up top and another for the lower grades down below. It was like a grade school. What I love about it is a frickin' box with windows, right? I'm like, very cool. So this is just like, it's not much to look at from the outside because it's kind of designed from the inside out.
And you wanted it to match, obviously, right? Like it matches the house.
I think it matches it in pragmatism. I love metal, and then especially up here where everything is a fire concern, it just seems silly to make things out of wood. And what's nice about the panel system too is that you don't need as much skill. Mostly they do like huge commercial buildings. Yeah, so these panels are normally, they do this, and I had to beg to get them in such a small scale. This is the cool thing, is where you're like, okay, this is like a system, let's use it. It's only 3 inches wide, this is. And it's got like sort of a tongue and groove lock at the end. And basically you can fasten it to the bottom track. And then there's some clips that you put in. And you just clip.
Yes. So what are they normally used for?
Commercial buildings.
Just commercial, not residential.
No. No, because I think it's an acquired taste. Like you look inside, and I like it because I'm like, oh, when everything is sheetrocked, you're like, I like the old days with the wainscoting and the trim, and Okay, so we're going inside.
Okay.
It's got many rooms, right? Here's the entry, here's the living room, here's the dining room, and here's the kitchen, right? This is a nice place to work from home too. And so you can see the panels on the inside. And I find it very appealing. And you can use magnets to put stuff up, which is cool. Very low commitment, right? None of that plaster fear that you have in the city.
So now inside we see the framing, and you can write a bit.
Yes.
Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, that's what you're seeing. So you're seeing like, basically this is a super simple 2-inch by 6-inch structural stud. This is a moment frame system, right? Where there's, instead of the big red iron that you see at garage doors, whatever, openings, this is what you have here, right? So you see there's a column that goes all the way up. You'll see these 4 bolts. So I worked with this cool engineer, and then I went back and forth with the manufacturer, and they were so cool because I was like, this is like a one-off prototype, like I don't know where this is going, but they were like, well, we can only punch this far in, or we can do this. So what it settled down to be is that we could do this out of this 6-inch material, and they're doubled like this, and there's a little spacer, so when they're connected, if things happen, they won't just turn into spaghetti. And then at the top, there's this fixed connection right here. It's like semi-unromantic, but it's really cool because I drew all the pieces exactly where the holes went, and these guys punched them, and then they roll them into this C shape, and then I went and picked them up in Sacramento, right? And so Cesar and I just like laid these things down, put a bracket between them, and put the bolts through. Up here, everybody's like fire, fire, fire. And so if you design stuff in a wildland urban interface, it's like wooey. The first things that they're like, make sure you've got the tiny mesh for your eave vents and for your foundation vents. And I was like, this kind of building like eliminates that entirely, right? So there's no chance of an ember getting in anywhere. And what's nice about the panel system too is that you don't need an air gap, you don't need vents or any kind of hoo-ha like that. It's cool from just an assembly point of view, and then for also installation. You can get novices involved in it. Some of it's just like, get it over there, tilted up. The frame on this I did with my friend who is an architectural photographer, and here we are like in our 50s. We like put the frame together in like 2 days. Yeah, and he doesn't have any training in construction. You just put that sucker on there and put some screws through it,
So the panels themselves, are they a standard size and material, or you design them yourself?
No, this is the cool thing. This is like a system. They've got these panels and they're like 39 to 42 inches wide and between 1 and maybe even up to 8 inches thick. So we've got 3 inches on the wall. It gives you an R24, which is crazy, right? And there's not all this like, flappy or plywood creases that you have to worry about. The roof is R42 with 5 inches. And so at this scale, it could be moved by 2 people, which is nice. Quick tour here. Come in the front door. This is where the staircase is supposed to be. So the advantages, I'd say, framing it in 2 days seems fast. And then cladding it essentially in probably 2 days too was fast. So yeah, and then maybe put the windows in another day.
Time and cost-wise, this method versus any other alternative you were thinking of?
It's faster. You get this little box up really quickly and you get everything's great. Then you're like, okay, I still have to wire the whole thing and I still have to do all the plumbing.
When you mentioned this total is 30,000.
That's for the envelope, yeah.
For the envelope, it's 30,000.
For the envelope.
So what's pretty affordable.
But the great thing about this is you don't have to sheetrock the ceiling at all. You don't have to sheathe it's like everyone's like, oh, I could do a wood house like that, right? There's a lot more labor, I think, that goes into it. I like the look too, though, is that you make a hole and then you have this is civilized too, instead of like taping and doing little flan, you just frickin' put this nice metal trim around there, slip the window in there and screw it. So there's certain things where it's like, as a builder, I'm like, I'm not gonna get like calls for mold. I'm not gonna get calls for like water damage. It's just so different. There's a caulking that's unbelievably crazy and sticky that you use. It's a butyl that never hardens, so you've got everything airtight too. There's a tongue and groove thing, and you just like attach, right? Then you seal bottom, middle, top. Okay, that's where we've got the structure in this case. It can go 8 feet without a fastener, and they're pretty freaking rigid too. So then you caulk in there, put the next one on, do the same thing, caulk, go to the next one. And then they have this whole kit of trims. There's a fascia trim at the top that caps the roof, and then this, and it's like very easy to use and very adjustable and just fantastic,
Some people are concerned about the thermal behavior of metal against the sun, for example.
Does it heat up too much? Is it difficult to keep it cool?
No, the thing is here, check it out. I think you'll see it might be, so it's not a super hot day, but when it was super hot, this would be like a skillet. So you could feel here and we go inside and feel the inside. Right?
Oh, wow.
I don't have a thermometer.
Oh, yeah, it's cool inside.
Right?
It doesn't get hot. But that's the insulation.
That's the insulation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have quite a bit, in between here, you have quite a bit of insulation.
It feels much nicer.
3 inches, right? 3 inches, yeah.
So as far as structure, it's all structure that we're seeing? Is any of this aesthetics or?
No, it's all structure. So what's nice, you got a frame here, there's a frame that you cannot see. And then this ceiling right here is the formwork from the foundation, including the hole or whatever.
Oh God, that's so funny.
And you can tell who are your people or not. Because most people are like, what are you gonna do up here? You're gonna cover it, you're gonna cover it? And my good friend was like, of course you're gonna leave that uncovered, right? And I was like, of course. So it's like, what the heck? It's free shabby chic, come on.
And so this wood is
That's the floor for above.
okay.
Yeah.
And this coming down is?
So this was a thing because the multiple levels really gives you a lot of important space, I think. You come in here and it's like, here's, business. And then even though it's only a foot and a half higher, I feel like this creates a different volume. This is, again, a commercial stuff. They put it on, usually on roofs, and then they like foam over it and put like a membrane roof on a commercial building, okay? But the spanning capacity is fantastic, and it's only 1.5 inches. And I put 5/8 plywood on top of that, so your floor is like 2 1/8. And all this, I gotta say, is for naught because they keep changing the ADU laws, right? I was like, it was originally 16 feet, and I was like, oh, I could do 16 feet, right? Now it's 20, okay? Which I'm excited that it's 20, but I go through all these machinations to make things tiny, and then they change the code. But so here's that, and then actually this is cool because the dining room light has a magnet to the ceiling, right? There we go.
Oh yeah.
So we could do this.
Oh my gosh, it's so great.
Right? This is like it's so low tech, right? This is super cheap. It's not a fancy fixture. And what I noticed is you can never get the location of the dining room table light perfect, And the cool thing is too, I won't totally pull it, but you can pull this out, okay? It's on wheels. So you can pull it out, right? And you could have like 4 people eat. Or you can take it and move it perpendicular and have like a full dinner party and use this as a bench. It's not super fancy, but it works.
The kitchen's just standard.
It is, but it's got a lot of countertop, and then you've got this added space too. So you got a 24-inch range. This is a really nice microwave that is also a hood.
Yeah.
And then, just like tons of storage. And then here's the dish rack right above the sink. So it'll just drain right there. It won't be a big deal. You got a nice big, it's just a 24-inch apartment fridge. And then, tons of pantry storage,
A lot of storage. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a decent amount. And then you've got a whole bank of drawers right here. You got all your trash in here. This actually is a pull-out for other stuff. And you can, this is like freaking IKEA with a door on it, okay? But I wanted to be able to have this space where, it's like where you put your salad spinner or your giant pasta like colander or whatever, right?
When I use once in a while, but not.
Yeah.
So then you see that you've carved the stairs out. I mean, the stairs, you just see everything, right?
Yeah, this is it, right? So, and all this wood, I was like, how am I I want solid wood, and it's just too expensive to do it yourself. But they have this countertop material that is this width exactly, with these tiny strips, which remind me of early 1900 house floors. So it's like the table, this, all the treads, they're countertop material, right? But this is the cool thing too, it's like all these little pieces, the material is cheaper because it's all these little pieces. They're making use of all these little scraps,
And it continues up to the stairs?
Yeah, so it goes up the stairs. So this thing came out of a big plank, and I just made a template, cut it with a skill saw and a jigsaw, and put this nice round on it right here. Gave it a little.
So the stairs are countertop?
Yeah, this is countertop material.
That's great.
But you cannot get anything. It's 1.5 inches solid wood. It's amazing, right? For the price that you can get it.
Okay.
Oh, so I made this staircase too.
You made it.
Yeah.
In the shop.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this, and then this is just nice, like queen or king size bed you can put on here. There's storage behind all the headboards, which is kind of nice.
Oh, nice.
So it's like you don't have space, but you have everything that you need,
It's the whole perimeter also storage?
Yeah, all of that. Yeah. It's like, it's a cheat basically, because you've got this thicker wall, you got all this hoo-ha, and you don't want to just put a piece of trim and waste that. So it's like, if you can have more space, why not?
Again, we're just seeing structure again, right?
Yeah, no fluff,
So the
which is just
ceiling
like, right?
It looks also very much, it's very like your boiler room.
So this was a laundry, like a commercial laundry, and I think the front part of the house was like a tailor shop where they took in the laundry, and then this was actually a boiler room. It was this volume that everyone kept saying, what are you going to do with that place? It's so cool, And then finally I was like, you know what, I'm going to make that a unit.
But it was small.
It's just what you're looking at. It's 8 feet wide by 11 feet deep, so 88 square feet. Some people would be like, oh, this is a really tiny bedroom. But you just double up on the floor space for everything and you've got plenty of room.
Right from your boiler room, there is a very solid state from early on. Like you are probably working on iterations of ideas you strongly believe in.
I think so. I am making small, interesting spaces out of metal, for better or for worse.
So using a modular metal system, you can create spaces that look cozy too.
Yeah, I think the slope ceiling it's really nice. I've got the shades down right now, but you can see downtown from here, which is kind of cool, little view. And then there's a beautiful tree straight ahead here too. So when you're up here, it's like, I don't know, you're not like trapped in those little, weird bed lofts. It's actually like super comfortable.
Just look like that.
Yeah, and the big thing too, unless you're a very tall man or woman, you can stand at the end and like make your duvet and make your bed, you're not like crawling around suffering,
What are we seeing here then? So the bed, it's the floor?
It's just the floor, yeah. These are the 2x4s that you saw below, right? Rustic. And even the fact too, this is where you figure out what's going to be the most forgiving for finish and price conscious and feel good. So, some of the wood was a little tweaky too. So I hit it with the planer really quickly and then put the carpet tile over it, and is it perfect? No, but you got a mattress on top of it. So it's like, you got to choose your battles, you make the stuff that you see look good and the other stuff, you make it work.
But it's nice. It feels kind of like a floating bed.
Well, that's the cool thing about metal, right? Is I was like, you could have put a wood trim on here. And I was even thinking about it. And I was like, no. This is like very important, right? It's metal. Yeah, some people would find that foreboding, but And I think seeing the structure too, it's just assumed that nobody wants to see that, and it's because of our system of like, some just really rough looking 2x, banging them in, you got to cover it up. Maybe there's a price point that might be higher than wood, but at the same time, you're not sheetrocking everything, and I just don't know because there are little tweaks and hassles, but I see them as like a benefit, to running the electrical in a couple spots, right? But now that I've done it, I'm like, oh, boom, here's what you guys would do, okay? Here, I have a chase below each one of these receptacles, and it goes down to the structure that is underneath this bed loft, okay? And then that structure has a channel that goes over it. Boom.
So that right there, yeah.
Yeah. So you can see there's the power, that's all code, and this stuff is so easy. You just chop and screw. It's in this track right here, right? But it goes down to that channel that's there below. So you see, it's a little rustic.
You see the floorboards, it's great. You see through.
You see through.
Oh, wow, yeah.
But you know what? Yeah, that part is part of the structure. But this, I figure, would be like, duvet or you're not going to just throw a bunch of Tic Tacs in there. I'm shocked they fell through,
Why are my ibuprofen on the ground?
Exactly. Put the pills up here, put the pillows in there, okay? Okay. I don't want to open Teresa's closet, but there's 12 inches of shelving along the back, and then in front of that is a bureau and hanging space and all kinds of stuff. I don't need this big of a bathroom, but this is like a basic size bathroom, 5 feet by like about 8 feet. And it just worked out with the geometry to have this space, like the way the shear walls worked and with wiring and plumbing or whatever. So a lot of people like tubs. So I'm like, I'll put a tub in. I did a little standing, this is experimental, right? This is paper stone, which is the same as the floor and which is the same as the counters downstairs. And it wasn't like a really sought out plan. It was just like, what is panelized that I can use for this that's going to be affordable? And they sent me at the same time this thing like, we've got seconds for sale or whatever. And I was like, whoosh, So I kind of messed these up, but you still get this like saturated blue, and it's good for countertops. So I'm like, it's gotta be okay for the shower, right? So this is what I do with a lot of things. I'm like, well, it's either a really cool shower material or it's a very expensive underlayment.
Oh, that's funny.
And so it just goes up, and it's like for anyone who's clean tile, which is everybody, you're just like, forget about it, right? No grout.
Oh, I hate that.
Right?
Okay. Wow. And you see the framing of the bathroom, like for the shower curtain using the beam.
It's this hospital track technology. And so it's just up behind there, but right, I could go all over. And it goes around the corner. This is my way as like a landlord to try to keep the water in the tub. Although there's nothing to rot here. So even if the water gets out, it's not tragic. Boom.
Wow, that's great. Yeah.
Okay. It's got all this extra storage here. Look how much space there is,
It's so much space.
It's so much space. So pack it all in.
So we are in snow country.
We are.
Okay.
This has a snow load on it, okay, of 35 pounds per square foot, which is epic.
So it gets cold, and this place, it just stays warm. You don't have an issue with cold, like insulated.
Yeah. R42, R24. That's more. So R30 is typical, and R19 is required in the wall. So
you're going way above what
it's going, yeah, and it's easy. I could even go with the 6. If I was doing something in Tahoe, I would even beef it up more, right? But it's the same easy way to put it together. It is super metally, but I think as you live in it, I think it has a lot of possibility for personalizing. And then this is kind of like a daybed too, where you could just do this and, watch TV and chill out. Or this actually has some pins and you can pivot it and you can have a guest sleep down here too.
You made this.
I did, yeah. I mean, don't look too close. It's a little paunchy, but it's basically made out of a tarp, a tiny bit of sewing, a very simple frame. And this allows for a lot more storage underneath, right? It's basically like a platform. These are like those kiln-dried 2x you can get at the Home Depot. This is like poplar. This was like a series, like an evening project, right?
No.
And this cushion, it's actually held together with some bungee cords and things, which I'm too embarrassed to show you. It's like a little frumpy, but it's actually very comfortable. So I'm like, whatever, man. This is it.
Great.
Super practical.
And the rest of the furniture, like this table?
Yeah,
it's really well.
Made this.
You did make it?
Yeah.
It's so nice you can make your own furniture.
Yeah, but you know what? This is why I never throw anything away out too. I just go to the shop and I'm like, what do I have? What do I have? And I think like, what would look good, scale wise? And, boom, boom. So it's got like a piece here and a piece here, and then it's got a piece of wood in between, because that was like an easier solution. So you got some more storage under there. And even this is great. She's got the printer on this little counter. Like, so many things in regular construction are like covered up. This is all structural too, right? It's just like one piece of flat bar here and one piece of flat bar there. And then this is a piece of plywood with edge banding, which is super cheap, and a slot, right? So I've made shelves like this, like when I used to make furniture, and they're like sag proof.
Oh, really?
Look before I speak here. Yeah. The worst thing is like all those IKEA shelves. And if you really like books, you put them on there and they're like, wow, wow, wow.
Those shelves aren't going anywhere.
These are not going anywhere, right? And they're earthquake safe, right?
Yeah.
When they say attached to wall, I'm like, no problem, no problem. So it's fun. It's really nice that the furniture business gave me the skills that I think that you see. I think working at this kind of scale that's half furniture, half building is kind of a nice, I like that. I really like that space.